Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the European crossover webinar. I think I'm going to get a second alarm clock. I actually woke up early and decided, okay, I'll wait. And I guess the alarm didn't even go off. I just happened to pop up. So sorry about that, but let's go and get started with the webinar. I do say that we did have Spanish CPI come in an hour, about an hour and 20 minutes earlier at 2.6%. We do have at the top of this next hour, Bank of England consumer credit that'll be out. And then at the top of this next hour, we do have a Eurozone business and consumer survey, as well as consumer confidence, Eurozone consumer confidence. And then we do have German CPI. That'll be at 8 a.m. Eastern. And as we roll into the States, Dallas Fed services, we did have manufacturing yesterday, services report out, and that will be it. Now we do have API weekly crude oil stocks. That'll be at 10:30 Eastern. Actually, the crude oil stocks will be at the close of the market, so that will be till 4:30 Eastern. But that being said, we'll go on and move on and see where we stand here. Let's take a look at move things around a bit. And take a look at the euro. Same thing, we're just in a very quiet, we're a little bit lower though than we were yesterday, but still relatively quiet. Take a look here with the cable. Same thing here, just a little bit lower. Aussie finally has gone and pulled back a bit. You remember last week we made it up to about 76.14 before paring back a bit here. And then the dollar yen, just a tad bit firmer here. Cash dollar index up just a little bit here. We didn't get much of a retracement back last week, and so we're holding up relatively well overall. We'll take a look where we stand here with the indices and metals. Let's go and move into there. Kind of move things around a little bit, as you might be able to see. Take a look at the Nasdaq. You can see here, we just continue to push higher, but it's in more restrained moves, but nonetheless, it's continued to move higher, and it just, wow, we'd actually ran into a little bit of a resistance yesterday. We went and made to the 161% resistance area, which I think at the time was 14,387, which 161% of the recent high and pullback. But at the end of the day, we pushed even further to finish out the day. You can see, once again, new all-time highs. Taking a look at the S&Ps. Same thing here. Hold up very, very well. We didn't push to even higher, but we finished that way on Friday, end of last week. Now, we do have into the months, into the quarter, into the half year, all coming up in the next couple of days. So that's where we're at right now. And it looks like we're not going to go on and pull back. It's just, I don't even know what to even think about these markets. I mean, I haven't jumped up against them or anything like that. Not trying to fight it. I did see it come into a level, but we just continue to press, and it certainly doesn't look like it's going to go on and pull back, at least ahead of into the month, into the quarter, into the first half of the year. Um, so it wouldn't seem like it, but it just continues to just inch a little bit higher, inch a little bit higher here. We'll take a look at where we stand here with just a quick review or reference. Bitcoin just when it looked like it was going to really make a rollover, we came back and we're back at the 35,000 area. And gold continues to languish. We just haven't moved anywhere here with the gold market. And most recently, crude oil, we have gone to pull back. One of the things I did mention yesterday, we had support here in this area right here, that 72.95. And I did mention later in the day, I go, hey, or actually not too long afterwards, I said, hey, if we break below that, the next move is for 72.42. We didn't quite get to 42, but we did make it down to 72.45. So not bad, not too bad. But it was rather quiet. It took a long time before it finally dripped down there. But we finally did make it. And then we've rebounded a little bit back to 73.05 and relatively quiet. So that's where we stand on this. Let's go on and get started with the bias chart. Thing took a while to load up. Holy smokes. So let's go and take a look here with the euro. And the only reason I moved the chart so it was easier for me to push this out where it was more lengthened to see it clearer. So that was the only thinking behind that. And why things look a little bit differently. Also, it was a little bit easier to have the profile charts here. Same thing where there things are more easily viewable, for lack of a better phrase. So let's go and move into those. To the charts where we're going to have the euro, and let's start off with the euro. We're just not moving. That's no news. Just simply not even moving here with the euro. Just staying relatively sanguine. We had our bias chart supported here at 1891. The only difference is if we do dip back, it would come in right there. And generally, I'll go in and go with the bodies, as you know. But because it's trading so quiet, if we slip back, my guess is we'll try and make a stand there. Let's call that 1879. And for resistance, no change on the resistance. We're going to keep that at 1962. And you can see here on the 2 hour, just we're quiet as quiet can be. We just don't really have any real movement here. Let's go and move into the cable. Same thing here with the cable. You can see here after we challenged 140 of last week and then started to pare back. We've continued to dip back a little bit further, trying to find some confluence here as far as many touches that we could get into. It's going to be right there. Oh, that's a very, very close. Let's go right there. Let's call it 3809 for support. It's going to continue to slide back. And for resistance, We did have 39.60 resistance. If you go with these touches, and you can see right here across that level here is going to be 38.31. I apologize, 39.31 for today. And moving on to the Aussie dollar. Well, as I mentioned, last week we did go on and have a pretty good steady retracement, albeit relatively quiet, but it was steady in the sense that it was constant. And we made that run last week to 76.14, I think it was. Actually, it looked like 76.16 before preparing back. And you can see here Monday and then today a little bit more of a follow through. We'll go and take a look to see if we see anything on the 2 hour chart. Right there. So support is going to be 75.18. And then looking at resistance, coming across all these touches on the 2 hours, going to be 75.75. Definitely still bearish. But these markets are just relatively quiet. Let's go move into the dollar yen. Oh, thank you very much, Darren. Thank you very much for letting me know that. I actually sneezed. Darren was telling me the audio's been out missing for the last few minutes, so thank you. I took a sneeze. Didn't want y'all to hear the sneeze. So let's go back. Let's go back to Bitcoin. So once again, we're referencing about Bitcoin and saying where I was stating was that, and I do apologize. Like I said, I took a sneeze, didn't want y'all to hear it, and I thought I'd click the microphone back on. But anyway, nonetheless, I was referencing that, I thought this market was really going to go on and break down once we got down to, took this dip down, and we simply didn't do that. And how Bitcoin has been so quiet, quiet for quite some time. We don't have the same volatility that we used to have. Look at these moves, boy. These were moves that really got going, and we've just been quiet. The resistance today is going to be right there, which is going to be 35,586. Okay. And then the support that we're looking for, and as I pulled this back, as I told you, was going to be right here, going right here with the body. And that's going to be, it's actually this body right there. There we go. 34,506 for support. But like I said, these markets have been so quiet. We're just going right here with the close right there, and that's 34,586. But you can see here, we are just trading so very quiet here. We're moving into the S&Ps now. We've held up very, very well, but my concern is, and we addressed that yesterday, if you look on the profile, we'll get to that. And thank you very much, Darren. A moment. The problem I've got here is that the profiles here have been so tight. If you go back to this, see how wide these profiles were. Look at that. And then since then, look how tight they've become. And we haven't had a pullback. So we're open, or we're susceptible to a dip back here. I mean, it could just come, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but it could hit if they do hit. And one of the themes that we've had over the last few weeks has been the volume's been terrible, but as I said, we are susceptible to a pullback. Now we had a very, very quiet range, a relatively quiet range here on Monday. And you can see here the point of control comes in right there from yesterday at 42.74. And let me, that's a full session. I do have the volume. I put the volume back here, really primarily just so I can see where the volume point of control is. But looking at this market, let's go with the, you can see here the value area low from yesterday was 42.69. That's full session. and the value area high from Friday was 42.67. We'll split the difference and call it 42.68. We'll look at the RTH. Still at 42.67. Move it back to the full session. Yeah, let's go with 42.67 for our first area of support. And then let's call this 42.53. There we go. Take a look for resistance. We had 42.82 from yesterday. We're going to keep that 42.82. We'll keep that. We'll go back to the charts. I still think, and I don't think that the S&P is going to go to heck in a handbasket, but I do think that we are very susceptible. Let's take a look here. Once again, it'll still be bullish. I think they'll step in and buy this. Look at that 42.40. But I think that the pullback could be rather fierce, but I think they'll step in and buy it. And we'll keep the 42.82. Now let's go and take a look at the Nasdaq. Well, we did go on and push to new highs yesterday. We actually ran into the 161%. Here's that move yesterday. Came in at 14,487. You can see here we paused back a little bit, but by the end of the day, we pushed the stops, made it run to 14,520. Quickly made a quick dip back to 14,500. You can't see that here, but let's go back. We quickly jumped down here, and you can see here that it was just buy stops that hit at the time. We're kind of giving back a little bit. We'll go and update the same day VWAP. Let's do the same thing here with the S&Ps. So look at this move here. Same thing here. We're way up here in the stratosphere. Support looks like it comes in at 14,395. But we'll take a look at the VWAP. I'm at VWAP, I apologize, profile. And boy, we are still holding up in here. And nary a pullback. Real support would come in 14,302. That's a long ways off. Let's go into the profile. And here we go with the Nasdaq. Same thing, relatively quiet. Look how tight these ranges are. Look at that. Well, we've got the midpoint from yesterday, full session midpoint. Let's go with 14,425 for initial support, followed by 14,3. Let's call that 14,350. And potentially we can dip down here to about, I think we've a little bit of an overshoot. Let's go with 332. And then we'll see where we stand there. We'll go to the charts. Well, really on a pullback, you're looking at 14,397. And I think that makes more sense. That makes more sense. Let's go move in now to the gold market. And this market just continues to just dither, not really making any moves higher. We are starting to press a little bit lower. We did have our bias chart support yesterday at 1768. We've dipped down there. We've actually made it down to 66.5. Overall, not bad, but potentially this market can go and make a move to 1751, albeit it's relatively quiet. I just don't really see anything happening here in this market. We can go with right now 1764. And on the upside, doesn't look like very much of an upside. We'll take a look at this on the profile. Hmm. 1775. Right here, 1776 for resistance. You can see here, point of control right now. Had a decent little bit of a range here. Not too bad. For today, 1775. But you can see here. Let's take a look at this. Right there. Let's go 1780, which is yesterday's point of control. Although we're well far from that, but that would be a push here. I guess we'll put it for 1778. Don't really see anything happening with this market. And the 1778, you can see here, top of the value area high right here. Confluences with yesterday's midpoint, 1778. And then if you look at the pop from Friday, that comes in at 1778. The volume point of control today is right there. See the pink line? That's 1775 also with the pop. And Mondays, I should say, volume point of control is 1779.16. With that, we're going to move into the crude oil market. Wow, we finally broke down here. We've extended that here. In crude oil, you can see that break here. And we said yesterday, if we broke 72.95, you can see the 72.95, that the door was open for a test of 72.42 on that dip. It did take a while before it finally got here. Look here, we kind of rallied. We rallied back. We kind of hung around. We finally did make it go down to 72.46. We were talking about 72.42. And let's see here, right here. Yeah, 71.92 here. Not sure that's not coming up. What the heck? Doggone it. And I rebooted my computer, so I can't see it's down. And we'll take a look at the profile for resistance. Let's see here. Here's the midpoint on June 21st full session. Came in 72.03. I've got 71.92. You can see here 96. And we have a pop coming back from, let's say, June 19th. $71.66. And the high that day was 71.83. But I've got 71.92. We'll stick with the 71.92, followed by the POC on the 21st, which would be 71.54. Resistance. POC off of the session is 72.70. And the low from yesterday was 72.63. And you can see here the volume point of control. That comes to 72.73. We're going to go with 72.85, and we'll take a look at the charts. And you can see where I'm coming up with that. Just like a midpoint here. So 72, let's call it 72.84. soon as that. There we go. And there's a bias chart for today. I am still just advising, just be careful with these indices. I think that they're still strong, but the concern is that we can see a quick slide back because of the way the ranges have been so tight. So you can imagine as you move higher, some people take a little bit of longs here, take a little bit of longs here yesterday, back on Friday. And those same people, I'm not saying that they still don't have longs, but they've taken some of the profits. So they're not going to buy here. So once again, we'll have to come back for value, and potentially we can make a real quick slide down to 42.55. That's no big deal. And then really come back down here to 42.40. And really that thing, people probably be buying it with both fists. Look at that. And that's not even saying much. Look at that move. So with that, we'll go and get the bias chart posted. Thanks for joining us here on the European crossover webinar, and we'll see you in the chat room.